I'm Jack Kennedy, and they hit a lot harder in my opinion too.
What is up, everybody? My name is Keelan McNamara, and everyone's got a plan until they get hit with my views.
I am Hunter Boss. He just wanted to go to the distance by the looks of it, but he couldn't even do that.
And this is the MMA Island Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MMA Island Podcast. I am Jack Kennedy alongside Keelan McNamara and Hunter Boss. A great episode. It is fight week. UFC 264 is upon us, and we have a great episode ahead of us here. Starting off with some news that Jose Aldo will be facing Pedro Muñoz in what promises to be an amazing fight. You can bet on this being a great fight. Sean O'Malley chose an interesting opponent to step in against him. And we will be going over our favorite prelim fight we're looking forward to at UFC 264 because those prelims are stacked, to say the least. Let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So, Jose Aldo, Pedro Muñoz, Hunter, take it away.
I have been, as soon as this fight came up and it was announced, I've been all over this fight. Let me tell you this. This fight has Fight of the Year written all over it. You know, it's going to be a standing up match. You know, there's not going to be a whole lot of takedowns being made. Jose Aldo has some of the best leg kicks and just some of the best pure boxing in the game. And then Pedro Muñoz has an iron chin and a will unlike any other. This is going to be a fantastic fight from top to bottom. You can expect just fireworks left and right, people getting hurt, and then people just being able to live through the adversity of getting hurt. It's going to be a fantastic fight. What if I have any official predictions right now? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. It's going to be a 50-50. This is a pick. This is a coin flip right here. It's going to be an amazing fight, though, so you cannot miss it.
Oh, my dear Lord, what a fight this is for 135 pounds. This is Brazil against Brazil, power against power, fire against fire, fight of the year candidates just everywhere. Just every other weekend, we're getting a fight of the year thrown out, and I love it. I'm here for it. I mean, Jose Aldo, Pedro Muñoz is just a meeting of two giants of Brazilian MMA right now. You know, Aldo is a bona fide legend, you know, Muay Thai genius, boxing master. And in Pedro Muñoz, you've got a wrestler who can throw hands. And those are just all the beautiful recipes for an amazing, amazing fight. And expect neither guy to take a step back throughout this fight. This is going to be hand-to-hand combat for, is this 3 rounds or 5? I think it's three.
3.
Yeah.
15 minutes of carnage, ladies and gentlemen. For the love of every deity that's ever been in existence, don't miss this fight, because this fight is going to be killer. Jose Aldo, Pedro Muñoz, someone's getting knocked out.
Woo! Pedro Muñoz, my guy. I mean, we have 2 of our controversial picks on this card. Pedro Muñoz is on 265, but coming up, we have 2 of our most controversial picks in our draft or bantamweight rankings that we chose.
Oh, God.
You guys chose Sean O'Malley at number 5. I chose Pedro Muñoz at number 5 or 4, around there. I am so excited for this fight. I'm just beyond belief. Jose Aldo will bring the fight no matter what. We talk about guys that have fallen off, and Jose Aldo does come up in that a little bit, but I always argue that whenever you compare him to a fighter like Renan Barão or you know, even Anderson Silva or people like that, Jose Aldo has consistently been there in the fight. Even when he was there against Petr Yan in that title fight, which realistically was a mismatch from the beginning, he was really throwing in the first and second round. He was going for it. And look what he does whenever he's facing in a 3-round fight. Jeremy Stephens, Renato Moicano, just the list goes on and on about the shots and the power that Jose Aldo possesses and his explosion. Then on the other end, Pedro Muñoz, one of the most entertaining fighters today as well, will bring it, has a chin like no other, will continue to throw fire, throws heat. The leg kicks will be traded back and forth. Oh, man, I cannot wait. I really wish it was 5 rounds, but honestly, 3 rounds just amplifies the absolute carnage that will be this fight, because they will be going all out for 15 minutes potentially. It's going to be so good. And I know for a fact, all of us, we always talk about Jose Aldo, and Pedro Muñoz has come up a lot. 2 of our favorite fighters on this podcast going at it. It's just going to be amazing. You're just going to be able to sit back, watch it, and just enjoy the madness that will be this fight. It's going to be amazing.
It's going to be great. Imagine Pedro Muñoz versus Cody Garbrandt's first round. This should be like that for the whole 3 rounds, to be honest. There's no reason they shouldn't. They both advance forward. They both swing heavy. They're both so technical. It's going to be fantastic to watch. And it's on a UFC 265, one of the best cards of the year so far.
Yeah.
So if you don't like this fight, you can look forward to Cyril Gane versus Derek Lewis, and then you can watch Amanda Nunes after as well. It's going to be a fantastic card to watch all in all. So just to have this fight along with so many others, it's going to be fantastic. I'm pretty sure, if I'm not wrong, this card is also the return of Michael Chiesa and Vicente Luque. They got a fight coming up too. So UFC 265 is going to be stacked, and this is just one of the greatest fights I'm going to be looking forward to this year alone, let alone on this card.
Guys, there's not a sane fight fan who walks the face of God's green earth that's going to hate this fight. This is just the ultimate aperitif for UFC 265. It is perfect. There's not a more perfect fight out there than this. Like you said, and I think it's the perfect comparison, Hunter, my guy. This is going to be Garbrandt Munoz round 1 for round 1, 2, and 3 if it goes that far. It is going to be bell-to-bell action. One thing that I really love about Jose Aldo going into this fight is that body shot, especially the southpaw body shot that knocked Jeremy Stephens down. Dear Lord, I don't think there's a man alive who has a more vicious liver shot than Jose Aldo. We've talked about how tough Jeremy Stephens is and how much grit he has, but that body shot crumpled him like a car crash from the inside out. To do that to a man like Jeremy Stephens tells you how goddamn powerful that shot is. That would neutralize a rhino. And Pedro Munoz, much as I love him and as much as we all respect him, my main issue with Pedro Munoz has always been his boxing defense. He does get hit quite easily, and you can't afford to get pieced up by Jose Aldo unless you're Petr Yan, but Petr Yan's the Russian Terminator. So realistically, if Munoz goes in expecting to be bulletproof and that Aldo's punch is going to bounce off him, he's in for a very rude awakening, because Aldo hits like just nothing else at 135 pounds. But enough of that. I don't have an official prediction either way yet, so I will be trying to do that in the next couple of weeks. But please, people, do not miss this fight. This is going to be one of the best bantamweight fights this year. Of that, I am convinced.
Yeah. If I could say something real quick. If you're a fan of Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic, this is not the fight for you.
He brought it back. Hunter brought it back. No.
We find a way to bring Rakic back into this.
I'm sorry, Alexander Rakic. We're a little bit too harsh. You're winning fights, but we've already said that. So let's continue here. Well, actually, real quick, I wanted to say something. They just slid this fight right into 265, like no one would notice. Like, this is just the 265 already had 2 title fights on him. They're just like, let's just go ahead and slide this one that'll most likely win fight of the night on there, and then no one will really. That is amazing. Just great job, UFC. I mean, couldn't get any better. We're all very much looking forward to it. Pedro Munoz, and think about the legacy of Jose Aldo as well. I mean, why we get so hyped about this fight is because of just knowing who Jose Aldo is, what he's accomplished in the UFC, and knowing the absolute contender and tank that Pedro Munoz is. So it's going to be amazing. Cannot wait. Just another reason to watch UFC 265. And this is 264 week. I mean, this is just crazy. The UFC keeps getting better. It's amazing every week. Even the fight nights are impactful and amazing. So continuing along that, UFC 264 now, Sean O'Malley was scheduled to fight, but then his opponent pulled out, and now he's having to face Chris Moutinho. Moutinho is not from the UFC. He's making his debut, 9-4. He's allegedly, and most likely, Sean O'Malley had a lot of top-ranked opponents willing to face him, and he chose the newcomer to the UFC. Hunter, what do we make of this?
As much as I want to shit on O'Malley right now, I can't. You know, it's a week away from the fight. It's kind of it would not be in Sean O'Malley's best interest to pick a high-ranked fighter a week away from the fight, let alone just pick a high-ranked fighter. Because the fights he's been picking lately, we all know Sean O'Malley, he can have whoever he wants right now. He's super famous right now for bantamweight. He's choosing not to face a ranked fighter right now. And if he's going on a week's notice, there's no way in hell he's going to pick a ranked fighter. So do I respect Malley for doing this? I don't know. It's hard to say because his opponent right now it's not going to be too hard to face. It's his UFC debut. He's on a 2-fight winning streak, but all 4 of his losses has been by stoppage, and his last 2 losses have been by TKO and KO. So this is O'Malley's perfect opponent. He basically he looked at the entire UFC roster. He's like, give me the guy who's most vulnerable to punching, and he picked him. So, I mean, if Sean O'Malley doesn't win tonight, then I don't know what to say. He shouldn't even be talked about for a lot longer here. But I'm just happy Sean O'Malley's fight didn't get canceled in general, because everyone loves to see Sean O'Malley fight. And I would love to see another knockout in the highlight reel. So he is Keelan and I's number 5 ranked pound for pound fighter here for the bantamweight division. So I do love Sean O'Malley, so I can't shit on him too much, but I am a little disappointed in this pick.
Guys, I'm sorry. I have to shit on Sean O'Malley. I do. And, you know, again, I don't disagree with what Hunter said. I think he makes some very fair points. But what you also have to consider on the other side of the spectrum is this. I had O'Malley as my number 5 bantamweight on the condition that his next opponent was ranked and at least somewhere around 12, 13. Louis Smolka alone was enough for me to shit on O'Malley. But the fact that you're fighting someone not even from the UFC is just abominable, frankly. And if O'Malley was respectful and, you know, just trying to grind, and he said, look, my opponent pulled out a week away from the fight, I have to fight someone else, I wouldn't have an issue with that. But if you're going to run your mouth and claim you're practically the title holder when you haven't fought a ranked fighter yet, and when you've had everybody from 3 to unranked willing to fight you, then I'm sorry, that says more about you than it does about your division. If you're not even willing to take Chito Vera, who said he was game and said he would give him the rematch, then I'm sorry, what do you want me to say to defend Sean O'Malley? I can't. Now, I'm not going to hate on his opponent, Chris Moutinho, because nobody knows enough about Chris Moutinho. 9-4, all 4 losses coming from stoppage. The ideal O'Malley opponent. O'Malley's basically doing what boxing has done for 4 or 5 decades, even more. He's cherry picking his fighters to build his record up again. I'm fed up of seeing it. I'm not going to defend it. Sean, if you want to swim through the shark-infested waters of a division, especially a division like bantamweight, and you want to be the strap holder within a year or 2, as you've said that you want to, then quite frankly, you need to start fighting better fighters. There's no nice way of saying it anymore. You're content with fighting bums and claiming you're the best. And with respect, it isn't good enough. I'm sorry, I'm not going to defend it. If you'd have picked someone like Chito Vera or anybody just outside the top 10 rankings, I would be sat here defending you. But I'm not going to defend you for picking who you've picked. I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do it. Sean O'Malley, I am disappointed in you.
Yeah, so let's start with why we probably are upset with this. And I think a lot of people understand the raw talent and the actual abilities of Sean O'Malley, which is why I think it is upsetting that he did choose an opponent that has the record, that has the pedigree that he chose. Sean O'Malley, I think, and he thinks that he is up there with the best in the world right now and can prove that. But by taking another fight like this, he's not being able to prove that. I was upset with the Louis Smolka pick, because that wasn't even like really challenging himself that much, because that's another fighter that's prone to eating shots. And Sean O'Malley, he needs to move up in the rankings. He needs to start facing ranked fighters. And in boxing, Keelan, that's a great point. In boxing, you can pick and choose your fights and cherry pick and build your record. But the problem with doing that in the UFC is that won't get you anywhere, which is why the UFC is so great, why MMA is so great, because you can pick and choose your opponents. But that doesn't mean he's still unranked. He's not even a ranked fighter yet. Sean O'Malley is not even a ranked fighter in the UFC yet. That is unbelievable. That's honestly unacceptable for the actual talent and what he's shown to be able to do in the UFC. I really do believe he has top level striking. I mean, look at the knockouts. They're so technical. He's so calm in there, but he needs to show that he is the fighter that he's building himself up to be. And by taking another fight like this on the beginning of the main card, opening up a Conor McGregor pay-per-view, it's going to be great. I do believe he'll get a knockout, probably in the first round, most likely. And that'll add to his highlight reel. And it's a good point you made, Hunter, because it is a short opponent. So, I mean, yeah, you have to respect it, but if he had been constantly challenging himself and constantly working his way up the rankings, and then you took an opponent like this, I'm okay with that, because you've been showing that you were willing to take up an opponent before, but he hasn't done that yet. He's done this pretty much his entire career up until this point. So I'm on Keelan's side with this one. I'm very disappointed that this is the fight that Sean O'Malley ended up choosing, because I think we all know that he has the potential to be a legit contender in bantamweight, and there's a reason why you guys picked him so high on your bantamweight rankings, because of what he's shown to be able to do. But why I didn't pick him is for this reason right here, where he is not challenging himself at all, and we really don't even know what Sean O'Malley is yet because of this. He's not facing the top ranked opponents. And again, I feel bad because we're completely disrespecting Chris Moutinho, but there are levels to MMA. There are levels to this bantamweight division. Sean O'Malley has proven that he is not on a prelim level. And this honestly is almost like a prelim level fight for Sean O'Malley here. So, in short, okay, you're going to get most likely a win. He's going to get a win. If he gets a knockout, that's even better. But in the long run for your career, I don't think this does anything. And you really need to start challenging yourself. Even the Chito Vera rematch is not even that humongous of a thing. Chito Vera just came off of a win, but you're talking about fighting the best of the best. Go get a ranked opponent, and prove it. That's where I'm going to be with Sean O'Malley. He's not going to be on my bantamweight rankings until he proves that, until he shows that he can face a ranked opponent and win over someone that actually has pedigree in the UFC and has been at the top. Excluding Eddie Wineland, but I mean he's been done for a while now. So, that's what I think about it.
Yeah, no. To be the best, you have to beat the best. That's Dustin Poirier right there. But Sean O'Malley is not even attempting to. He's had plenty of opportunities. He's the UFC star boy in the bantamweight division right now, and like you guys have said, he hasn't faced a ranked opponent. I'm not against you guys at all. I agree with you 100%. I was just trying to to lighten the blow for it.
Yeah.
I see we're going to dig on him. I'm fine with digging on him. Let's dig on him, because Sean O'Malley, he needs a ranked opponent here. When he does win this fight here, he needs a ranked opponent next. There's no sugarcoating it. You can't beat around the bushes here. There's no more excuses he can use. Like he has elite level striking. Let's be honest here. We haven't seen a whole lot of wrestling. We haven't seen a whole lot of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. That's fine. We want to see more striking. Let's see how he strikes against the big dogs. All right. Let's see how he strikes against the number 11, number 10 ranked bantamweight fighters here. I wouldn't hate a match between Marlon Moraes and him. I wouldn't hate a match with honestly anyone in the bantamweight division. I love to see Sean O'Malley fight. He just has to give me a reason to keep seeing him fight, because if he keeps fighting these scrubs, he's going to lose more fans. Let's be honest here. Of course, he's going to gain more followers to those non-diehard MMA fans who's like, oh my God, Sean O'Malley's so good. He just knocked out this guy again in the first round. He's crazy. No, he is not crazy. He's fighting someone who's on their UFC debut right now. Sean O'Malley's been in the UFC for like 3 or 4 years. It's insane. This should not be happening. But honestly, I get that he's not facing a ranked opponent right now, but there was no excuse for him to not be facing a ranked opponent before Louis Smolka. There's no excuse. So that's where I stand with this.
Yeah, again, I don't disagree with Hunter. I'm exactly on the same page as you two guys. The Smolka fight was nowhere near good enough. It should have been at least number 11 or number 10 minimum for the amount of trash you're talking and for the amount of God-given ability that you have. So when I heard the Smolka fight was announced, that alone was enough to jettison O'Malley's ass out of my top 10 for now. But to pick someone who's making their UFC debut, I'm sorry, it's unforgivable. There is no excuse. And Jack, you have just made the perfect point about this whole thing. And I don't know if you've even realized it or not. You're on a Conor McGregor fight week. You're on a fight card. Yeah. You, regardless of your opinions about McGregor, I know I have mine on him. This is the prime real estate of the world of mixed martial arts right now. This is golden TV time to build your career, to pick a good opponent, to be able to say you knocked him out, and to call for someone higher up. And what did Sean O'Malley do? He sat back, smoked whatever he smokes, and says, I'll just fight another tomato can. I'm sorry, it isn't good enough. Any other guy apart from Sean O'Malley, who might not be as talented as Sean O'Malley, would at least have had the guts and the courage to fight a decent fighter. To have the ability Sean O'Malley has that he has shown, and to pick a nobody, there's no excuse for it, and I will not accept any justification for it.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, And it comes back to, we all love Sean O'Malley. We love his fighting style. We love his talent. We love what he's shown in the UFC. And we want to see him against the best. That's what the UFC is. That's what MMA is. The best against the best in the weight divisions. That's what we want to see. We want to see him go against the Cody Garbrandts, the top of the division. I mean, honestly, there's so many. We were fantasizing about a potential Sean O'Malley versus Corey Sandhagen fight and what stand-up battle that would be. But if he doesn't even take the first step here, if he doesn't even take the first step, we will never get to that. And eventually what will end up happening is people will start realizing that nothing will happen, and maybe he'll take a fight that's not there. Who even knows? I don't even know where this happens, but it's so disappointing to see a fighter that does not take any chance, any opportunity, especially when, I mean, look at his Instagram following. Look what he does. People know Sean O'Malley. He's a big name. To see him not making any effort here and making any real risk, or not taking any risk or anything, it's just so disappointing to see. And in the long run, it won't get you very far. So I'm really hoping he needs to. I mean, it's not even a hoping thing. He needs to choose a ranked opponent for his next fight. And that is absolutely a must. So I completely agree with you guys on this. So moving on now, UFC 264 is absolutely stacked. And in my opinion, I think it's the prelim card of the year. I don't know if I've ever said that phrase before, but there are so many good prelims on this card that, real quick, right now, we will be not predicting, or I guess kind of predicting, but choosing which fight we're most looking forward to seeing on this prelim card for UFC 264. Hunter, get us started. What are you thinking?
Man, dude, this prelim card is so good, guys. You have no idea. I am so torn on who I want to pick, though, because my gut tells me to pick Ryan Hall, because we haven't seen Ryan Hall in the UFC in so long, and he has been such a top prospect for me. I've mentioned him so many times throughout the podcast, and honestly, I haven't been here on the podcast for too long, so for me to mention it so many times, that should let you guys know how high I think of Ryan Hall here. But then again, one of my favorite and most entertaining fighters of all time, Michel Pietro, who literally does backflips inside the octagon, is facing one of the most entertaining fighters of all time, and Nico Price, who has 2 knockouts from the bottom position, one being an up kick and one kind of just being from the bottom, literally from the bottom.
Happen?
Yeah, I don't even know how, but I can't tell you which one my favorite is, because Ryan Hall's opponent, he looks really good. He's 10-0 right now. Fantastic fighter. He's had, I think, 2 or 3. He has 2 fights in the UFC. One of them ended in the first round knockout. It's just going to be a fantastic fight. You know, we haven't seen Ryan Hall in the octagon since 2019. I actually watched Ryan Hall live last time he fought. But it's going to be a fantastic fight either way. And like Jack said, this is going to be the prelim of the year, because not only do we have those 2 amazing fights on there, we have Carlos Conduit. We have so many good people. It's just going to be so good on this card. So I'm really excited for it. If I do have to give a prediction on this, I would say first round, Ryan Hall, submission, heel hook, of course. And if I were to give a prediction for the Michel Pietro fight, I'm going to go Michel Pietro unanimous decision.
Dear mother of God, this needs to be a new award that we do, because this is the prelim card of the year. In fact, you know what? I'm consecrating it and I'm making it a thing. I don't even care if I'm out here on my own.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Prelim card of the year.
You have our full support with this, man. Yeah, absolutely.
July 5th, 2021, the day prelim card of the year was invented. Shout out the 4th, by the way. This is just such an insane prelim card. You know, you could pick any fight on there, and I would not argue with you in terms of which one you prefer. You know, Brad Tavares, very decent middleweight for years, is on there against Amari Akhmedov. You got Ilya Taporia against the guy Ryan Hall. Shout out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, love that. Trevin Giles against Dricus Duplessis, very good fight there too. And then you've got my 2 favorite fights on this card, Michel Pereira and Nico Price. Dear mother, what a fight that is going to be. That is just mind's blown, basically. And then one of the original BMFs, Carlos Condit, making a second career run against Max Griffin. Just, I love Carlos Condit, man. He's one of the original BMFs. He's one of my original favorite fighters. Like, I'm sure you guys as well. Yeah. And that is going to be an amazing fight on its own. I really hope Carlos Condit wins that. You know, just the inner fan of me wants Condit to win and make another run at the top 10. But in terms of my overall fight that I'm going to pick, Ryan Hall is my number 2. But Michel Pereira, hybrid Nico Price is number one. This is going to be violent flamboyance for 15 minutes. I mean, what a beautifully weird combination of words that is to describe two fighters. I see a Nico Price knockout here, actually.
Wow.
I think Michel Pereira is an amazing fighter. I really do love what he's about. I think he brings something so refreshing to mixed martial arts, that real capoeira influence. But I think he's going to try something very flashy. I think he's going to try and do the beginning of the Showtime kick off the cage, and I can see a right hook knockout for Nico Price.
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, that would be the most like fitting way for that fight to end, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. And Nico's like upside down too while he's doing it.
Yeah, it's an up kick.
It's an up kick, of course. Yeah.
That's reverse uppercut.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, how can you choose one of these? I mean, it's too good. This card, like seriously, it's amazing. First off, thank you for Ryan Hall returning. Of all the fights, I mean, I really hope of all the fights on this card, Ryan Hall. I really hope this fight goes through because it's been so many times. First off, talk about a guy that can never get an opponent, and it's just everybody's terrified to face him because that 50-50 shouldn't work. But Ryan Hall makes it work. On purpose, he is already like he's not even really that known of a fighter, but he's one of my favorite fighters to watch.
He's a cult hero.
He's 8-1
from the beginning.
Everyone loves him.
From the Ultimate Fighter, everything about. From the beginning of this podcast, the very first podcast on YouTube where I made the intro video, I put Ryan Hall at one of the first ones just because it's so fun and it's so crazy. It's just like, what are you watching here? He is back. He's facing an opponent that is 10-0. That is incredible. So this is not an easy fight.
Opposite of Sean O'Malley.
I know, and it's amazing. It's amazing. This is an undefeated fighter who is game planning for Sean O'Malley, or not Sean O'Malley. Opposite, yeah, exactly. Come on, Keelan.
Sorry.
Ryan Hall, for Ryan Hall's one thing, which is the 50-50, get some sort of leg lock, some sort of ankle, whatever. And he's game planning for that, but can he stop it is the question. Very few have been able to stop it. No one in the official UFC has been able to stop it from Ryan Hall yet. It's going to be exciting. We're going to be able to see how much Ryan Hall has progressed since we've last seen him, because, I mean, how long has it been? Like, I want to say 2 years. That's a long time. So that's a big question. How he performs, how everything goes down, and that's a great fight. And then I haven't even talked about one of the craziest fights of the year, I think I can say, in Nico Price versus Michel Pereira. Michel Pereira, you guys already said it. The guy literally does backflips in the octagon, literally does Showtime kick, does all these like weird movements, Superman punches. His last fight, he looked like a legitimate fighter. He used that stuff, but in reserved manner. The problem is he's facing a guy that is not a normal fighter. These are not normal fighters. Nico Price can match his insanity. So you have two absolutely crazy fighters that will be going at it. It's going to be unbelievable. I'm leaning towards Michel Pereira on this one just because he has a lot of momentum going with him. I see him maybe KO. No, not KO. I'm going to say submission in the third round, just like a little bit ago, because he can get them in some wild stuff, and he has crazy strength. But Keelan, your prediction makes sense too. If there ever was a knockout in this fight, it's going to be on reels forever because it's going to be so weird. It's going to be like catching someone off a flying knee or something like that, or the Showtime kick knockout or something. It's going to be absolutely crazy, unorthodox, and this fight is just going to be – the words can't describe it. It's going to be so good. I'm so glad these prelims are good because this is a little bit of an aside, but whenever you have great prelims to start a night, that carries over to the main card because now they have to live up to what the undercard did. And these undercard fights could honestly potentially headline fight nights. Like we talked about on the early prelims, Jennifer Maia against Jessica Ai. That is a real fight at that division. It's not even on the real prelims. It's on the early prelims. So what is happening? It's so good. You can't go wrong with any of these fights. But I think I agree with your guys' prediction. Not prediction, but pick for the one you're most looking forward to see. I mean, Nico Price versus Michel Pereira is going to be just absolutely insane. It's going to be wild. So probably number one just for the fight. But for who I'm most looking forward to see, it's got to be Ryan Hall. I cannot wait to see Ryan Hall back. I know we all can't wait to see him back, but these prelims are just top to bottom absolutely amazing.
Yeah, let me expand a little bit on Ryan Hall real quick. For anyone who doesn't really know him very well, he's a submission specialist. His BJJ is through the roof. He has this insane move called the 50-50 where he kind of goes on the ground, takes a hold of your leg, and just puts you in a leg lock immediately. Now, from his last fight in 2019, we saw him really working on his kicks. So his high kicks, he trained with Stephen Warnborg Thompson. And these 2 years he's taken off here, they weren't just like, okay, I'm going to take a break from fighting. No, it's because he's been dodged and fights have been canceled. So he's been training these entirety of the 2 years, probably not just on his BJJ, on his striking in general. So we might see a whole rejuvenated Ryan Hall step into the octagon come Saturday night. So that's why I'm just so excited to see Ryan Hall in the octagon, because if you get a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu specialist like Ryan Hall with more of a striking variety and different kicks and can actually find some knockout power behind his punches, this guy can be the champion real fast. I mean, he's got what it takes. He's got the heart. We've seen him fight before. His last fight actually ended in unanimous decision, not because he kept going for the 50-50 every 10 seconds like he used to in his previous fights. This is because he went on a more fighter basis here. He stood up. He traded strikes. He went for head kicks. He went for body kicks. He had a variety of spinning wheel kicks. He only went for the 50-50, I think, 2 or 3 times in that fight, which is very surprising for Ryan Hall. This should give you guys a notice on how crazy Ryan Hall is. After he won the Ultimate Fighter, his first fight in the UFC, was BJ Penn, one of the greatest fighters of all time. And then not only does he fight BJ Penn, he submits him in the first minute of the round. Like, you can't make this stuff up. Ryan Hall is someone you need to watch. So come Saturday night, go ahead, watch Dustin Poirier, watch Conor McGregor, but please, for the love of God, keep your eye on Ryan Hall.
Dude, I fully echo all of that. And you probably heard my smart ass comment a minute ago, but there is truth behind it. Ryan Hall is the exact opposite of what Sean O'Malley's doing right now. Be under no illusion, you will see the gap from 2019 to 2021, and you'll think, oh, this guy's been ducking fights. He wants to keep his record, la-di-da-di-da. No. Nobody has wanted to fight Ryan Hall, and I mean nobody has. I mean, when you go in your first fight in the UFC and you submit one of the greatest fighters to ever fight in the UFC, that says a lot about you and who you're willing to put yourself up against. And Ryan Hall is willing to put himself up against everybody. And a more well-rounded Ryan Hall is just an even greater threat to the rest of that division, because he is going to be such a dangerous threat if he becomes the complete fighter. What I'm actually going to say is, because I am a jiu-jitsu fan as well, I'm not just all about boxing and kickboxing. One super fight I'd love to see, if he ever properly transitions to mixed martial arts, Ryan Hall, Gordon Ryan.
Oh, beautiful.
What
a ground game that would be.
But what happened in MMA is they would just stand up the whole time, though, because they we can't that. So
it'd be like Damian Maia, Ben Askren. It'd be
exactly.
A jiu-jitsu triple threat of Damian Maia, Gordon Ryan, and Ryan Hall. That's where the money is right there. Chael Sonnen and Submission Underground bucket.
That one for Doom too.
You know what? Yeah, let's throw in those 3 against for Doom. I don't even care. But yeah, I fully agree with what Hunter said. Keep your eye on Ryan Hall this weekend, because he is such a good fighter. He really, really is. And why I love this card so much, it's a point Jack just made, just to round off my section on this. When you have a card like this card this weekend that has got such a stacked prelim, it's like 2 main cards in one. Because you've got your main event and your prelim card, but it's really like a main card and a main card, because this could be a pay-per-view card in itself, realistically. Maybe not the best-selling one, but quality-wise, it's more than worthy of it. So don't miss any of these fights, because they are all going to be barn burners.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, throw an interim championship or something on that, and you actually have a pay-per-view card. I'd argue that those prelims we've seen worse cards this year than these prelims right here. So yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Ryan Hall, there's a reason he's being ducked, though, because that 50-50 move is so terrifying because whenever I said this earlier, it shouldn't work. And I say that because it hasn't worked for anyone else, really, except for Ryan Hall. And it's one of those Hail Mary things, like when Ronda Rousey used to get the armbar every single fight. And it's like, how is this happening? Like, you know what's going to happen. How is this happening? That is absolutely terrifying for fighters, especially since it's leg stuff. Leg stuff is horrifying whenever it works. And Ryan Hall is the best at it in MMA right now, in my opinion, and I think he'll prove it again. Like you guys said, with a complete stand-up game and like that, who wants to take Ryan Hall down? You can't take – that's one of those guys, like you can't take Charles Oliveira down. If you take down Ryan Hall, it doesn't matter if he has wrestling, because if you take him down there, you don't want to be down there. If his stand-up is good, oh man, that is one of the most crazy fighters. And if he starts working on it and you're slacking for 1 second, boom, 50-50, your leg is all caught up, and who even knows what's happening to you now? He is so entertaining, and that's why people are ducking him, because he is terrifying. And this goes back to another conversation we had in a previous podcast. He's one of those guys that is unranked. So you're not benefiting really if you're a ranked opponent from fighting him, except for name stuff, which he doesn't have really that much yet. So it's such a risk for him trying to climb the ranks, because who wants to fight that? No one wants to fight that. So it's so crazy. And Keelan, again, you nailed it. The complete opposite of Sean O'Malley. And I would say what Leon Edwards was doing for a little bit, it's the opposite of that too, because Leon Edwards was declining fights for a while. He literally has been asking for fights, and I feel bad for him. I don't remember who he was supposed to fight, but it was supposed to be on another pay-per-view not too long ago, but then his opponent canceled on him. It was like, oh, not again. But we're finally, hopefully, going to see, fingers crossed, Ryan Hall back in the octagon. Again, these prelims are unbelievable. Keelan, you nailed it again. The two main card thing, it feels just like that. Great stuff, guys. Could not agree with you more. And what a podcast. UFC 264 is this Saturday. Don't miss it. Please make sure to like and subscribe on YouTube as always. Make sure to listen to us everywhere, including iTunes and Spotify. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram at MMA.island. Some exciting stuff coming up that we will announce very soon. And check out our work on our website, MMAisland.net. Again, everyone, thank you so much for listening. Great podcast, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, everybody.
Down.